Pi times the variable of DIY plus back to school equals Threadbangers back to school threads.
Hey, what's up, Threadheads? So each and every Friday, we show you how to take all that old crap you got laying around and make something cool and new out of it.
And this week, since a gazillion people wrote in asking about back to school stuff,
Literally 1 gazillion.
we're gonna show you how to make a classic back to school accessory for the guys, plus answer a bunch of your questions.
DIYer for life.
Ties are traditionally made from silk, but you can make them out of almost any material. Old sheets, leftover fabric, an old curtain. But first, you need a pattern. I got mine by sacrificing an old tie that had seen better days and tracing around it. If you want to bypass that process, you can download the complete pattern from the Threadbanger blog and print it out. Once you have your pattern, decide what fabric you want to use for the tie, the inner lining, and the tipping. For the tie, I'm using a thick cotton plaid. For the lining, I'm using 2 layers of muslin. And for the tipping, I'm using a brown satin-like crepe. Once you have your fabric picked out, take out the larger end tie pattern and place it on your fabric at a 45-degree angle. Use a tracing wheel and tracing paper to trace all the lines of the pattern onto the fabric. Repeat with the smaller end tie pattern and cut them out along the outer lines. Seam allowance is already included. To make it easier to see what I'm doing, I traced over all the lines with white chalk. Now, pin the 2 pieces together at the middle, right sides together, and sew with a straight stitch. Use a pressing cloth to press the seam allowance to one side. Next, take out the lining pattern and place on your fabric at a 45-degree angle. Trace around the pattern with tailor's chalk and place the second layer of fabric under the first and pin the 2 layers together. Cut along the chalk outlines. Keep the layers pinned together and sew the pieces together at the middle with a zigzag stitch. Then sew the 2 layers together with a straight stitch. Now take out the 2 tipping patterns and use your tracing wheel and paper to trace all the lines of the pattern onto the wrong side of the fabric. Then cut them out along the outer line. The next part is a bit tricky. Fold the tie piece in half at the large end lengthwise. Fold the large end tipping in half the same way and place the 2 pieces together, making sure the right sides of the fabric are touching on the inside. The fold of the tipping should line up with the seam line of the outer shell. Use a needle and thread to make a quick stitch to keep the 2 pieces together. Now lay it out flat and pin the pieces together along the seam line. Sew along the line on both sides of the fold, stopping before you get to the fold. Next, fold the pieces in half again and sew a line from here to here. Turn it all right side out and it should look like this. Use a pressing cloth and press that end. Then do the same process to the small end of the tie. Now place your lining on the inside of the tie and use a pressing cloth to press the folds of the tie, starting with the seam allowance, then moving to the other side, and lastly returning to the first side. Next, pin all the layers together without pinning through the front layer. Then take out a needle and thread and sew it closed. Start by inserting the needle into the inside of the seam, then into the other side, going through the layers of the lining, but not the outer layer. Now insert the needle into the other side, going about 1/4 of an inch, then out again. Make sure to only sew into the seam allowance and the stitching will be undetectable. Repeat this stitch until the whole tie is sewn together. And you have completed a one-of-a-kind tie. Rob wears his ties with the short sleeve button down under a printed tee. It says I'm refined, but not really at all. And girls, you can totally rock a tie as well. We'll be right back with answers to all your burning back to school questions. Don't go anywhere.
Guess what? We're back! Tune in every Wednesday for a new Decor It Yourself, right here on Threadbanger.
Hey, we're back, and time for those questions.
First on the agenda, school uniforms. Crazy Pajama Antics, The Clumsy Ninja, and countless others are really upset about having to wear a school uniform.
Hobo and Vogue had a pretty good suggestion, writing, make or buy a used jacket that has an awesome lining and can be turned inside out the minute you get out of school. Just seam rip out the lining of the jacket and copy the pattern. Or as I do sometimes, wear something under your uniform that's crazy and wild, but only you know about it. It can give worlds of confidence and you can secretly break the uniformity.
You can also do your hair really cute. There's a bunch of tutorials on YouTube like this one we found from DulceCandy 87. Also, try buying your school uniform just a bit smaller than you normally would. This definitely creates a more appealing silhouette. And don't forget about hair bows, high heels, jewelry, socks, and tights.
Hey, and if you got a tie that you gotta wear with that uniform, come on people, make your own.
Gabby Engel, Metamorons, and SkaterKin18 asked how to make skinny jeans. Well, you're in luck. We did an episode a while back featuring a viewer tutorial on how to do just that. The link is in the sidebar.
And one of our most frequently asked back-to-school questions is how do you spruce up an old backpack? Or for that matter, how to make one? Ninja Bunnies, Squishclock, Algorath, and Demon Rat all wrote in needing help in this very area. Well, guess what? There's a slew of information on the Threadbanger forums and in past episodes. Here's some of our favorites. DivyMode posted a cool reversible messenger bag tutorial, as did Tom Sawyer. And Zombied has a toot on how to make a bag out of old t-shirts. Glass Onion decorated her bag with tons of buttons she made out of old plastic bottle caps. And 741 High Top is kicking it old school with this Etch-a-Sketch Messenger Bag. Talking about school uniforms, Love Is All made this bag out of a school uniform. Evil Bunny appliqued a tree onto her backpack, Retrohead01 made these awesome bags, and Mama Too Many put together this neato bag for her daughter's first day of kindergarten. Hey, that's it for this week. Good luck getting back to school, everybody. And remember, if you got any first day horror stories, nightmare stories, or even some good times, leave them in the comments below.
And remember, just be yourself and rock your own style. We'll see you next week.
True that.